Welcome back to our fourth part of our little video series designed to help you as you journey with the World Needs a Father material post the training that happened at Logos Church in April of 2017. The intention for this is twofold. Again, to help you as you journey with others through the material. And secondly, as we journey with the material, we become more competent in handling the material, so we work towards also becoming trainers of this material. The focus is not on spreading the gospel according to the world needs a father. The focus is on sharing the information with others, helping fathers and mothers to step up and to bring heaven home. That's our call. Hashtag, if you want to use a hashtag bring heaven home. And that's what we're trying to do. So this video now, we are at chapter 4. Chapter 4 of the book deals with the wounds. And I've got to tell you, in all honesty, I've gone through the Master Mentors material now 5 times as a participant, and 3 times as part of those 5 as a co-trainer. This is the time in the course where probably the deepest impact lies. And so we need to tread with soft shoes, because we're stepping into the messy part of people's lives, the hurt. The moment that it still might be a little bit distant when you hear about fatherlessness. You are excited to hear about the roles of a father, the roles of the mother. Last time we spoke about the seasons of life. Wow, this is interesting. Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, I must be a life coach here. But now it's okay. Let's look into my life. Let's look into your life. What are these wounds that lie there? And so please, with sensitivity, step into this. First thing to remember is there is no perfect. So the moment we start touching these things, we bring a lot of guilt and feelings of guilt on. Oh, I should never have worked those many hours. Oh, I should never have gone back to work. Oh, I should never have said that. Oh, if only I had known. There's a lot of guilt. Remember that, know that, and let's try and move past that. The purpose of chapter 4 is in helping us to know where the wound lies, number 1. And then number 2, helping us to know, now that I know where the wound lies, how do I deal with it? Okay. So the wound can be either 2 things. It can be either a father wound or a mother wound, or it can obviously be a combination of the 2. What do I mean by a father wound? A father wound is that where those 4 roles of a father was not played. And again, we know there is no perfect father, so everyone has a wound. And that's also good to understand. Everyone has a wound. So when you share with other people, share your wound. It immediately helps them to understand that there is no perfect soul on this planet. So the father wound, either from not playing the roles of moral authority, either from not conferring identity, from not providing security and especially emotional security, and not validating potential. The mother wounds could be then from one of the mother role, so neglecting to impart intimacy could be one of them. A second one could be neglect of nurture and care from the mother. A third one could be neglect of social guidance. And a fourth one could be neglect of demonstration of validation. You would have been in one of the 2 courses, either the Dad's Talk course, which is then for the fathers, or the Brilliant Mother Design, which is then for the mothers. The 2 manuals both have this content in, but I just find, I think for myself, that the mother's manual is written in a format that it helps me better to engage with the material. So if you need it, again, you can just email us and we can just send you these couple of pages from chapter 4 in the mother's book. You can obviously also download it from the World Needs a Father website and then look at it. The idea here is that it starts with the mother wound, And so we're trying to figure out where is the insecurity, because remember, the wound manifests in insecurity. So for instance, on my side, trying to be real and trying to help you through this, my wound is a lot here on the father side, on the lack of affirmation. So feeling uncertain, questioning myself, trying to impress other people, do not know what my real value is. Those are some of my wounds. I see that even today as a 49-year-old, I see that in daily life happening when someone pushes the button and suddenly this thing jumps out, and I think, where does it come from? It affects my life. Now that I'm aware of it, because I've been journeying with the material a lot, I can easily spot and identify it. Sometimes still difficult to stop it from jumping up. So the point is, we want to try and figure out where's the insecurity, and so what caused that insecurity to be there. And so it could be from a mother wound, and I have some of those as well. As a balanced person, which I think you are as well, so you might have it as well. I have wounds from both sides. So the idea is reading it through, prayerfully, considering, quiet space around you, just asking yourself honest questions. Is this me? Is this talking about me? Sometimes we mask a lot from ourselves. So that means that, secondly, I would advise you carefully, considerately, taking this to someone that knows you very well. Maybe a spouse or a good deep friend. And just asking them, just read this with me. Is this me? Do you see this in me? Because like I said, sometimes we are still masking our true self from ourselves. So we have those blind spots. Blind spots are very dangerous things because I can't see them. I'm going to turn and I'm going to crash. Because there is a car, I can just not see it. So good to deal with it like that as well. So as you journey through this material, you will mark, you will tick. Some of us will tick everything. Okay, then you have to go through it again with other people. And you got to say, okay, no, it can't be everything. So let's try and figure out what it is. Some of you might only tick one. Some of you might struggle to tick. Some of you might have to go through this 2 or 3 times to be able to tick. And this is normal. This is a process. Because maybe the hurt is so strong, so deep. In a normal, healthy father-mother relationship, there's wounds. Imagine now if there has been abuse, if there has been other things at the background, how deep and emotional this process is. So we have to be very sensitive. Okay? I think I've said that enough now, so hopefully you get that. As we go through this, we try and figure out where are the wounds and where does the wounds come from. Okay, so now I know that I have this wound from my mother and I have this wound from my father. What am I going to do now next? Now, this is what I would not advise you to do. Do not pick up the phone, call your mother and father if they are still alive and say, I just discovered that I have a wound and it comes from you. That's not necessary. We talked about that when we were in the live group, and we said that a lot of people, when they deal with these things, they have the problem is the expectations. I have the expectation that when I come to my mother and I declare that I've discovered this, and it's been a great discovery, I've discovered that there's wounds that come from you, Mom, and that this is the wounds. My expectation is that, she would fall on her knees and cry and say, oh, my son, I'm so sorry. And that expectation is setting me up for even deeper wounds and for even more hurt. It's not always necessary. In fact, when we discussed it, we came to the conclusion that we would say it's only in highly specialized situations where we would actually say, disclose it to the person. This is something between you and God, and between you, God, and the person that you're dealing with. And so trying to deal with it in a sensitive way. Secondly, then, obviously I know now that there's this wound. How do I deal with it? What do I do? So Cassie and Jenny in the material, they make a choice on how to deal with it. So let me quickly take you through that. First point of it is owning the problem. And it's logical. Every one of the addiction things, AA, whatever, it starts like that. Hi, my name is Ben. I am a. I have to own it. I have to own the fact that I have a wound. I can't push it away or not take the responsibility. So owning the problem, identifying the wound, name it. I would advise writing a letter where in the letter is not designed to go to the mom and dad. Especially if the mom and dad is no longer living, I would really advise you to write the letter. Even if the mom and dad is still alive, write the letter. Don't post it to them, write the letter. In that letter, say, I am hurt. This happened. It made me feel like this. It hurt me. I now know it. It's important to get it out there, to own the problem. Second part of it is the forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is a big thing. Forgiveness, I believe, is a choice. It's not how I feel. It's a choice. I choose to forgive. It doesn't mean what you did is right, or I don't justify what you did, or I don't condone what you did. But it's a choice. It's something I do. It's something between me and God. I do it in a selfish way, almost to get my life better, because I don't want the toxic nature of the unforgiveness to further disrupt my life. Unforgiveness and the bitterness of unforgiveness will kill you. That is just the truth. It will kill you if you don't deal with it. So we're trying to deal with it by going into a process of forgiveness. And again, I don't always have to phone you and to say that I have forgiven you, because then sometimes it might be that I'm still looking for the response coming back from you. We'll talk about that later in the course, that I don't want to give other people the power to make me happy. So me forgiving you and you forgiving me, that makes me feel happy. I'm not supposed to give you that right to make me feel happy. That only God has the right to make me feel happy or sad. Because anything else, my wife, money, my children, my sport, my team, whatever else has that right becomes an idol. And I don't want to go there. So forgiveness. Discard undue expectations. Take authority. Apply forgiveness. Pray. All important things in this process of forgiveness. Third part, step into the inner victory. So that means when the thing comes again, when that person is seen again and my mind remembers, because remember, forgiving is not forgetting. It's that process towards forgetting. But it sometimes takes decades for that to happen. Sometimes days, sometimes decades. There will still be triggers. I will still remember. How do I deal with it? This insecurity will still pop up. And this is the stepping into inner victory. And 4 things that I want to share with you there quickly. We can look at it almost like this in a diagram. The first one is feeling. The feeling, personally, the feeling that I'm inadequate will come. Some life situation will happen and this insecurity will pop up and I will feel inadequate. What do I do? Okay? I can't necessarily stop the feeling from happening. It's happened. Based on the feeling comes the conviction, which is then the lie that tells me that I'm not worth, that I'm not good enough, that I won't amount to anything, or whatever is the lie that is associated where my mind normally goes to. The feeling, the conviction, where my mind goes to. This process I can't necessarily always stop. I want to try to have the feeling and not go there. That's what I'm trying to do. But now my mind still goes there. So then now in step 3, I have to confront this conviction with the truth. And this is now where the biblical truth comes in. Because how can I have no value if God sent His own Son to die for me? So by doing that, God said, Ben, you have immense value. Even if you were the only person on planet Earth, I still would have sent Jesus to die for you. In fact, you didn't even want to be saved because you were still Jesus' enemy. But still, I'm sending Him because I love you. It's not about you, it's about me loving you unconditionally. That's biblical truth. If I apply this biblical truth to the conviction, I now stand up against it. So, no. What this person said or this life situation that happened cannot be the truth because this is the truth, the biblical truth. God loves me. I'm a son of the utmost high. My dad owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. You can go wherever you want with that. The point is I've got to go to the truth. And then I've got to act. I've got to step based on this truth. I've got to act on this truth. Meaning I face life with a new look. I face a new reality, or I face the same reality with a new understanding. And so this is a process of stepping into inner victory. Becoming more like Jesus is another way of putting it. Applying the truth of Jesus into my life more fully, maybe another way of putting it. And then finally, the fourth one then is walking together. Vitally important. Because most of the time, we can't do these things alone. Meaning, I need someone else to step with me where they see that I've again got stuck with the lie. Someone close to me just stepping in and saying, Ben, remember who you are. Remember what's going on. And maybe this is where our table of support comes in. We'll talk about table of support a little bit later, but those of you who have done the course, you've read about table of support. Those people sitting around the table of support, my mentor, my coach, my besties, my closest connections, my family, my wife, my husband, my children, my dad, my mom. These are the people that I need to walk with regarding this. Because no man is an island. I cannot function alone. I need other people. God designed it that way. That's why He put church in place so that I can journey with other people together. And so, as you're remembering this, please deal with these things. Maybe last point on this, just practically. This takes time. We discussed it as well yesterday in our live group, that if you want to pause here when you're dealing with this. Even if it takes you 2 or 3 coffee dates or 2 or 3 sessions to go through this, it's time worth spending. Sitting still, helping people deal with their issue, deal with the hurt, helping them step into this victory, helping them change the cycle of thinking that is so necessary for us to get out of this, feeling and then the conviction, the lie. We need to break that cycle with the biblical truth. So journeying with others, vitally important. Taking your time here, vitally important. Again, as always, if you have more questions, please ask them towards the email. See you next time. Thank you.